Okay, I know there are some rocks here, but I think if I'm careful how I kind of lightly hop through here on this line, I think I'll be okay. Just go with my light thoughts. Perfect, nice. No issue. Oh yeah, that's choppy. Oh. Much better. Woo! Woo! Oh, this is still really good. Yeah. Nobody wants to go in here, but it's pretty nice.
Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're talking about the Black Crow's Corvus. Now, Black Crow's was nice enough to provide me with these skis, however, I will be sending them back to them. Just full disclosure, I always try to tell you guys when I'm keeping a ski, when I'm not. In this case, I am sending it back. That may change in the future with Black Crow's, but as of right now, these are going back to them. They're one of the first companies I worked with, and I love working with Black Crow's. Now, as far as these Corvus go, I was kind of surprised. We got a bunch of snow. We got a big storm in Idaho. Bogus Basin was listed in like one of the top 6 ski areas or something for snowfall, which is crazy to see. So a lot of the powder skis kind of ended up coming up. So I was able to ski these skis. I'm gonna give you my first impression. We'll talk about the good, we'll talk about the downsides. Let's just jump into the review. The first thing I noticed for first impression is these things are like yachts. Holy moly, this is a lot of ski. That being said, with it being like a yacht, you get that stability, right? When you are in big open lines, this ski is so stable, so sendy. And if you're looking for a ski to compare it to, if you're familiar with the Black Crow's Atris, this is like a beefier version of the Atris, but it has a lot of kind of the characteristics and personality of the Atris. So if you're an Atris fan and you're looking for a bigger ski or for bigger open lines, I think the Corvus really fits that spot perfectly. So, you know, if you're an Atris fan, this may suit you. Similarly, if you like QSTs, kind of those more sendy open line skis, this is kind of in that wheelhouse, but it's much bulkier and more stable and less forgiving than the Atris. This is really for big, big open lines. The other first thing I noticed was just, wow, these things can really build up momentum in the powder. I kind of described the Black Crow's Atris that way, as like a pretty sendy powder ski. That really pushed me to be a better off-trail skier, and this ski takes that another level. This is a ski that really, really builds momentum. I think if you're a really good skier like Zach, it really allows you to build momentum and set up big lines in the open powder. The other thing I just noticed is like, this is a lot of ski. Whenever I was kind of like just trying to set up lines, it's like, oh yeah, you gotta really look ahead, really be mindful of your line. It's not like an atomic bent where you can get kind of lazy and make last minute decisions. This Black Crow's Corvus really demands a lot of respect. So we've talked first impressions, now let's talk about some of the build, construction, and specs. So as you can see, not much in the way of camber. They're pretty flat, but then a very healthy gradual splay in the tails. And one thing that's unique, you can see here, this little wedge in the tail, in my opinion, it really helps it kind of track and stay straight and true when you get into fast lines. And then a pretty progressive but subtle splay on the tips. You can see the kind of rounded tips, reminds you a lot of the Atris. Now these skis aren't light, coming in at 2,075 grams, but I think that's to be expected for a ski this big. You know, you're not worried about lightness. You're not probably worried about swing weight when you're on the ski. I think within range of like what you're doing with the ski, it makes a lot of sense. They have a 25 meter turn radius and they are 110 millimeters width underfoot. These skis specifically were a 186.2 centimeter length for me, which I found was pretty much perfect. And also in this hot pink, which I do like. Not that that matters, but as far as top sheets go, this is probably my favorite. Now these are demo skis, so they've seen a lot of mileage. You can see a little bit of cracking here, but honestly, for what other people have been skiing it, I'm kind of surprised that these have held up so well. These are holding up better than my Salomon QSTs did, and I think especially since these are only taken on big open lines where you're gonna find rocks and things like that, and these were skied by people previous to me, it's nothing alarming. These skis have actually held up better than most demo skis that get sent to me. Now first let's talk about the good, and then we'll talk about the downsides. The good with these skis is this is a whole lot of ski, and if I was in any kind of big line, this is a ski that I can trust. There's a lot of skis that are fun in the woods, but once they get a little bit of momentum, it's like, oh, they either hit their top speed where you can't carry any more momentum, so you kind of have to like, just, I don't know, your line suffers from it, right? Like, oh, I can't reach that area, or I can't cut across that area because I've lost momentum and I'm just kind of stuck with little powder turns. With this, it was like, okay, I can take these as fast as I want on the off-trail line. I really was impressed by how well these skis carry momentum off-trail. It's pretty amazing, and at times it was like, oh, I don't know if I found the top speed for those big open lines. It's also stable. You know, if you want a strong downhill platform that isn't gonna like give way underneath you or run into itself, this is probably the ski I would want for any kind of big line. If you're cat skiing, if you're heli skiing, if you just have like a big open bowl, if I was skiing Tuckerman's Ravine, something like that in New Hampshire, this is the kind of ski that you trust your life with. I don't say that lightly, and I'm not a big backcountry skier, and Bogus has very limited terrain that's like this. I took it a little bit in there. It's just such a stable platform, and it really, really does not waver underneath you. Whereas like I've had some other skis where they're fun, but you don't want to be going fast off trail with them. These, I really trust, are very stable and really, really track well and like in a very predictable way. The other good I like about them is the flotation overall is really good. It's really punching above its width as far as flotation for a 110 millimeter width ski underfoot. Man, these really float better than you'd expect. You'd almost think they were wider than they are. They feel more like a QST blank than, you know, a 110 underfoot. I guess it's not much, but man, there was never a point where I felt like I was gonna sink in, or if I lost my momentum, it'd be hard to track back out. They make a nice platform underfoot, and they're not susceptible at all to sinking. Similar to the Atris, I really feel like these skis pushed me to be more balanced and be a better skier so that I could maintain my speed and take the fun lines that this is giving me. I said in the beginning these feel like a yacht, and I meant that in a good way. They feel very smooth, they feel very stable. The tails don't feel like a twin tip, they feel like they're tracking really smoothly. It didn't take a lot of effort or work to keep them above the snow, which is nice when you get into those big open lines. I think especially if you like the way the Atris skis and you're looking for more ski, or the Atris isn't enough for some of the deep, big open lines you want to take, this is the next step in the Atris. I think if you're like a really good skier and you're kind of finding the limits of the Atris, this is the next step from it. They don't say anywhere that this is related to the Atris, but it certainly felt a lot like the Atris to me anyway. One in like kind of the tip design, but two in just how they are a very sendy momentum based ski. You know, somebody could tell me this is nothing like the Atris. Maybe that's right, but just construction, the way they look and the way they feel on snow, reminded me a lot of the Atris in all the good ways. That being said, this ski is less forgiving than the Atris, so if you're not doing those big open lines, maybe consider the Atris instead. The other thing I like about this is, I believe when I was looking at construction, I forgot to mention this, but these do use a bit of Titanal. I feel like at the high speeds, big open areas, I like that little bit of weight being sacrificed. These are a little bit heavier, but having that high speed stability is a nice touch. That's another positive thing I liked with these. All in all, I really like these skis. You can probably tell from my positives that there's a lot of really good things about this ski. I wouldn't even say that the downsides are really downsides or design flaws, so much as they are just qualifiers for who would want to be on the ski. Or like, to a certain extent, who even should be on the ski. A lot of these downsides I think are purposeful, because this is a tool for a very specific job, and that's big open lines. So now that we've talked about the good, let's talk about some of the drawbacks for a ski like this. The first drawback is that this ski is very bulky. If you're trying to go in the trees, if you're trying to go in the bramble, the ski isn't very forgiving. Now, someone like Zach, maybe he's a little bit stronger and a little bit lighter on his feet and he can make these skis get in between things. But for me, I did struggle getting the quick turns. I mean, these have 25-meter radiuses. They're big, heavy, not heavy for their size, but pretty heavy skis. That's not what they're made for. So I would just say that, like, for most skiers, on average, this is probably a lot of ski if you're not doing big open lines. If you're just going to somewhere like Bogus Basin in Idaho or some of the smaller East Coast mountains, this is probably a little bit too much ski for you. And in that case, I would look at the Atris, because the Atris is a similar version to this that really thrives in those areas. For a handful of people, I think this might be a bit too much ski. I found it to be a lot. It was pretty exhausting if I got into really narrow little tree areas, or if I got into like little kind of funneled down corridors of Bogus Basin. But as soon as I got into a big open corridor, if I went to some of those big faces where they do the big mountain competitions, or even in parts of like the bowl off of Paradise, I found it to be really fun. The more room you have to steer these, the better. I would compare these, like, if you, to use the boating metaphor, if you had like a little speedboat, you know, that's probably more like the Atris, and then this is like a big yacht. It's more stable. It really feels a lot safer in those big open lines and at high speeds than the Atris does. But the trade-off there is it's a lot of ski to turn. So if you don't get those big open lines, man, it is a lot of ski. And I don't think that that's a shortcoming of the ski. I think that's just maybe a limitation of where I ski and how I ski. You know, if you're a really strong skier, that may not be an issue for you. But this is a lot of ski, and there's no, I don't want to like, I don't want to lie to you guys either, you know, for my own ego. You know what I mean? Every ski has good and has drawbacks. And in this case, that was a choice. They'd rather have it be stable at speeds, not have to fight to keep the tips up. They'd rather have a ski that is stable for those big open lines. And like I said before, if I was in a big open line, cat skiing, heli skiing, anything like that, this is the ski I'd feel safest on. But let's be real. In some of the trees or on a low powder day at Bogus, or anytime you need to kind of finagle your way through a little squirrely off-trail chute, not even like a chute like Tuckerman's Ravine, but just like a little squirrely area where the mountain kind of folds in on a river or something. If you don't have big snow and you don't have a big open line, this is a lot of ski for people. At least it was for me. So I don't say that as a dig against the Corvus, but more as like, be realistic. If you are not getting into big open bowls or big open lines, if you're just kind of doing little trees and little amounts of powder, pick a different tool for the job. Use the Atris, go with something else. This is more for like, this is a serious day of skiing. We're doing fast lines, we're doing big open lines. I want stability. I want a ski that's gonna stay underneath me for when I'm taking big lines. This is the man for the job. But this is not a do everything tool that I'd recommend to anybody who's not skiing at big mountains. So just trying to be honest with you, trying to be transparent. This is a lot of ski. That can be a good thing, just as long as it's for the right person. So what would I give this for a score? That's really tough. I think for the right person, this is the perfect tool for the job. I like the ski a lot. It does a lot of the things that I like from the Atris, and really it felt like it was pushing me to be a better skier. I like the stability of the tails. There were times where the tips could snag on things if you don't have your balance right, so just make sure that you're kind of getting that dialed in and you have time to get used to them. I think these are on the pricey side, but then again, they're not like a K2 made in some Chinese shop somewhere. And they're well made. And like I said before, this is the ski I would feel the safest doing a big mountain line on. I think the design is there, it's fast, it's powerful, it's stable. So I'm gonna give it an 8.2 out of 10. I think it's a great ski. It's just more of a specialized tool. It's not a very like across the board, everybody's gonna love this. You gotta be a strong skier and you gotta be doing big things with this ski to really enjoy it or get the full value out of it. Anyway, Black Crows, thank you so much for sharing the ski with me. It's always a pleasure to test your products. If you are planning on buying these skis, I will have an affiliate link down below. That's a free way to support the channel without spending any additional money. We also have channel memberships. You can like and subscribe. That's a free way to support the channel. But as always, you know, like, just thank you for watching my videos. I can't say enough how much I appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to watch these reviews and watch all of my videos in general. It's created a lot of opportunities for me to try more skis and give you guys more honest opinions. So thank you to you, the viewer. Thank you to Black Crows. I really enjoyed this ski. I just, you know, I want to be honest with people. This is a lot of skis, so make sure you're ready to like use it for the right scenarios and that you're ready for a big yacht of a ski. If you do need that, there's nothing I trust more than this, but man, I was floored by what a big beefy ski this is, but also what it's capable of. So anyway, that's the end of the video. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.